Silicon Valley may be a center of innovation, but some say what most needs to change is its own business culture. A new book claims Silicon Valley is rife with sexism and the mistreatment of women, both workers and investors.
That culture and what to do about it are explored in the new book, Brotopia, Breaking Up the Boys Club of Silicon Valley. We are joined by the author, Bloomberg television journalist, Emily Chang. Emily, good morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
2 years in the making. What was the most surprising thing you learned about this future-facing industry in Silicon Valley?
You know, the most surprising thing to me was just how long bad behavior has been not just tolerated, but normalized. And so much of business in Silicon Valley is happening outside the office, at the party, at the bar, the hotel lobby, sometimes in the hot tub. I mean, you could think about it like Hollywood's modern-day casting couch. And business and social lives are increasingly intertwined, and that creates this really gray area where women are being put in uncomfortable positions, whether they're an engineer at Uber or they're an entrepreneur raising money.
I was actually surprised at the ratio of women in the workplace there and how low it is. Particularly, I thought, for example, the financial world would be worse, but it's not even close.
Wall Street, 50-50 at the top banks when it comes to women and men. Women make up 25% of jobs in the computing industry, 7% of investors. Women get 2% of venture capital funding that is going into startups. This is in the most progressive industry in the world with some of the smartest people in the world. And even when the women own and run the business, they're still getting penalized.
So the Valley likes to say that the issue is a pipeline problem. Is that legitimate or is that cover?
I argue in the book that the tech industry created the pipeline problem by creating this very narrow idea of who can do this job. And it goes all the way back to the 40s and 50s when women were actually programming computers for the military and for NASA. And then in the 60s and 70s, when the industry started to explode, they started doing these personality tests to identify good programmers. And they decided that good programmers don't like people. Well,
they decided, right?
Yes, the industry decided. If you look for people who don't like people, you'll hire far more men than women. And furthermore, there is no evidence to show that people who don't like people are better at this job. But these tests became widely influential and they were used for decades. And it has perpetuated this stereotype of the antisocial, mostly white male nerd that many people imagine when they think about computers and starting companies like Facebook. They're looking for people who look like
casting avatars for these positions.
Exactly. And think about all the people who don't look like Mark Zuckerberg who could have started the next Facebook. I think about all the women who didn't get a chance and all of the companies that didn't get a chance because they didn't look the part.
You write about somebody who liked to interview people in hot tubs. You also write about drug-fueled sex parties being part of the culture here. How does that contribute to this?
You know, the Bay Area has long been a place where, you know, people are exploring sexual freedom. And I've talked to both men and women who are part of the scene. There are sort of a wide spectrum of behavior. And in a lot of ways, it's a lot less about sex and a lot more about power. And the power dynamic is completely lopsided. You know, the women in particular, these are women who are, as I said, are already facing several challenges when it comes to raising money. If they go to these parties, they feel like they're discredited. They're not going to get funding. If they don't go, they feel like they're missing out on a potential networking opportunity because the people holding these parties are incredibly powerful.
Emily, has the Me Too movement come to Silicon Valley?
The Me Too movement, in my view, actually started long before the Me Too movement in Hollywood. We have an investor here, her name is Ellen Pao, who sued her venture capital firm in 2012. She lost in 2015, but she sort of won in the court of public opinion. And that opened the door for more women to come forward, and it didn't happen right away. We saw Susan Fowler, the engineer at Uber, who was propositioned for sex by her manager on her first day on the job. And when she brought it to HR, they said, we're going to let that slide because he's a high performer. And subsequently, many more women have come forward. It doesn't get as much attention because it's not, you know, Reese Witherspoon or Rose McGowan, but it's happening to women in Silicon Valley every day.
Well, it is an incredibly well-timed book, Emily, for this moment in American reconciliation, as it were. Emily Chang with Brotopia. Thanks so much.